Master Sergeant John Chapman opens his eyes. He's lying in the snow, blood soaking through his uniform. The ringing in his ears drowns out everything except the thud of his own heartbeat. He can't feel his legs. When he turns his head to the left, there's nothing but empty white powder in the dark outline of a bunker 20 meters away. When he turns to the right, another bunker. Machine gun positions, movement, shadows crossing back and forth. He counts them. 5, 8, maybe more. He doesn't know how long he's been unconscious. Seconds? Minutes? It doesn't matter. What matters is this. Every single one of his teammates is gone. He is alone, 10,000 feet up on a frozen mountain in Afghanistan, surrounded by Al-Qaeda fighters who already think he's dead. His rifle is still in his hands. 1 magazine left, maybe 2. The wind is howling. He can hear voices now. Pashto, laughter. They're close. And then he makes the decision that should have gotten him killed. If you want real war stories told like this, hit subscribe. Because what you're about to hear isn't just bravery. It's a man deciding, while bleeding out, that other people deserve to live more than he does. Let's rewind. March 4th, 2002, Eastern Afghanistan, Operation Anaconda, the largest American ground offensive since the Gulf War. The mission is simple on paper. Squeeze hundreds of Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters out of the Shahi Kot Valley. Trap them. Destroy them. Finish what started 5 months earlier when the towers fell. But nothing in Afghanistan is simple. The valley sits at 8,000 feet, ringed by mountains that climb over 10,000. Frozen, brutal, and crawling with enemy fighters who've been preparing for this fight since the Soviets left. The terrain alone could kill you. Hypothermia sets in within hours if you're stationary. The thin air makes every breath feel insufficient. Your body burns calories just trying to stay warm, and that's before anyone starts shooting. But the real problem is Takur Ghar, a jagged peak overlooking the entire valley. Whoever controls that mountain controls the battlefield. You can see everything from up there. Troop movements in the valley, coalition positions, supply routes, helicopter flight paths. It's the ultimate high ground. Intelligence says it's lightly defended. Maybe a few sentries. Spotters. Nothing a small team can't handle. The plan is to insert a reconnaissance team at night. Set up an observation post. Call in airstrikes on enemy positions below. Paint targets with lasers. Guide precision munitions onto concentrations of fighters. Get out clean before dawn. The team assigned to the mission is Mako 30. 6 operators from SEAL Team 6, officially known as Naval Special Warfare Development Group, the most elite counterterrorism unit in the American military, and 1 Air Force combat controller named Technical Sergeant John Chapman. Chapman isn't a SEAL. He's a CCT Combat Control, Air Force Special Operations. His job is to talk to planes, direct close air support, call in bombs when the shooting starts, coordinate airspace, make sure friendly aircraft don't kill friendly troops. He's the link between ground and sky. Without him, there's no air support, no precision strikes, no evacuation under fire. He's 36 years old, now married to Valerie. 2 daughters back in Florida. Girls who think their dad has the coolest job in the world, even though they don't really know what he does. He's been in the military since he was 19. Joined the Air Force in 1985. Became a combat controller in 1989. Deployed to the worst places on the planet. Kuwait during Desert Storm. Saudi Arabia during the Khobar Towers tension. Now Afghanistan, hunting the people who planned September 11th. The SEALs respect him. He's calm under pressure. Competent. Technical. The kind of guy who doesn't panic when everything goes sideways. The kind of guy who does his job no matter what. And on Takur Ghar, everything is about to go sideways in ways no one can predict. The insertion bird is an MH-47 Chinook. Call sign, Razor 03. A twin-rotor beast built to haul troops into hot zones. heavy lift helicopter, can carry 33 combat-loaded troops, armored, fast, loud as hell. It's just after 3 in the morning when they lift off from Gardez. Pitch black. No moon. The kind of darkness that swallows everything. The helicopter climbs toward the peak. 10,469 feet. The air is thin up there. The rotors strain. Less oxygen means less lift. The engines work harder. Inside the cabin, the team is locked in. Night vision goggles pulled down. Body armor tight. Weapons ready. Everyone's been through this before. Fast rope insertions, helicopter assaults, close quarters battle. But there's always that edge, that pre-mission tension. Because no matter how many times you do it, you never know what's waiting on the ground. Chapman sits near the front of the cabin. He's running comms checks, making sure he can reach the AC-130 gunship circling overhead. Call sign Grim 32. That gunship is their guardian angel, 105mm cannon that can put a round through a window from 2 miles away. 25mm Gatling gun. Infrared sensors that see body heat through walls. As long as Grim 32 is overhead, the team has backup. Overwhelming firepower on call. But there's a problem. The sun is coming. And AC-130s don't fly in daylight. Too slow. Too vulnerable to surface-to-air missiles. One lucky shot with a Stinger and a $100 million aircraft becomes a fireball. The window is closing. They need to get in, set up, and get the gunship out of there before sunrise. Timing is everything. Razor 03 approaches the landing zone. The pilots are using infrared. They can't see the terrain clearly. Just heat signatures, shadows, the green-gray wash of night vision. They're looking for a flat spot, somewhere the Chinook can touch down long enough for the team to jump off. They find it, or they think they do. The bird flares, nose up, tail down, 70 feet above the snow. The ramp drops. Cold air rushes into the cabin. Wind. The smell of jet fuel. That's when the mountain lights up. Heavy machine gun fire. Tracer rounds ripping through the fuselage like it's made of paper. The sound is deafening. Metals tearing. Hydraulic lines bursting. An RPG slams into the right side of the aircraft. The explosion rocks the entire bird. Alarm scream. Red lights. The pilots are fighting the controls. The Chinook lurches violently to the left. Unstable. Losing altitude. And Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts loses his grip. He's standing near the ramp, wearing 60 pounds of gear. The helicopter tilts, and he slides backward. Tries to grab the ramp, misses. Tries to grab a strap, misses, and falls into the night. 10 feet, 20, 30. He hits the snow hard. The impact knocks the wind out of him. He's disoriented, alone, surrounded by enemy fighters who've been dug into bunkers all along the ridgeline, watching, waiting. The intelligence was wrong. Takur Ghar isn't lightly defended. It's a fortress. The enemy saw the helicopters coming, heard them. They had time to get into position, man the guns, prepare the ambush, and Neil Roberts just landed in the middle of it. Razor 03 is dying. Hydraulic fluid pouring out. Flight controls degrading. The pilots fight the bird, metal screaming, metal rotors shaking. Warning lights flashing across every panel. They manage to get off the mountain, barely. The Chinook is hemorrhaging, systems failing. They limp 4 miles northeast and crash land in the valley below. The impact is violent. The bird hits hard, skids. The team inside is thrown forward, helmets cracking against metal, bodies slamming into seats. When the bird finally stops, there's a moment of silence. Then someone yells. Everyone moves. They stumble out into the snow, shaken, bleeding, ears ringing. The Chinook is a wreck, smoke pouring from the engines. The pilot shut everything down before it catches fire. And now they have a choice that isn't really a choice at all. Neil Roberts is up there, alone, surrounded, maybe already dead, but maybe not. They're going back. Chapman checks his gear, magazines, radio, batteries. He reloads his M4. He knows what this means. They're flying back into the exact spot where they just got shredded, into an enemy position they can't see, can't map, can't suppress. The element of surprise is gone. The enemy knows they're coming. But Roberts is one of them, a teammate, a brother. The code is simple. You don't leave a man behind. Not wounded, not dead, not ever. So they're going. They board Razor 04, another Chinook. The pilots know it's a suicide run. They do it anyway, because that's the job. The helicopter climbs back toward Takur Ghar. Every man on board knows what's waiting. Heavy machine guns, RPGs, fortified positions. But they're going anyway. At 04:55 hours, Razor 04 touches down on the peak, the exact same spot where Razor 03 got hit. The ramp drops. Mako 30 charges out into waist-deep snow. The cold hits like a wall. Sub-zero temperatures, wind cutting through gear, immediate contact, machine gun fire from multiple positions, muzzle flashes in the dark, the familiar crack of AK rounds snapping overhead. Chapman is third off the bird. He moves forward, scanning, searching for Roberts, weapon up, finger on the trigger. The snow is deep. Every step is exhausting. Your boots sink, your legs burn. You're trying to move fast, but the mountain won't let you. They find Roberts 30 meters from the landing zone. He's already gone. Killed in the first minutes after he fell. Multiple gunshot wounds. The enemy didn't take chances. Chapman sees the body, processes it, files it away. There's no time to grieve, no time to stop, because the gunfire is intensifying. Rounds snapping overhead, impacting the snow, kicking up frozen powder. The team is taking fire from a fortified bunker to the northeast. A DSK heavy machine gun, 12.7 millimeter Soviet-era weapon, the same gun that tore apart Chinooks in the 80s. It'll punch through body armor like cardboard. It'll cut a man in half, and it's hammering their position. Chapman doesn't wait for orders. He moves toward the bunker, alone, pushing through the snow, firing controlled bursts, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, targeting the muzzle flash. The rest of the team tries to suppress the enemy positions, but they're pinned, rounds coming from multiple directions. Chapman keeps moving, 40 meters, 30, 20. He's close enough now to see the bunker, sandbags, timber, a firing port, the barrel of the DSK poking out, tracer rounds streaming from it. Chapman pulls a grenade, fragmentation, pulls the pin, counts, throws it through the firing port. The explosion is muffled by sandbags and earth, but it does the job. The machine gun stops. Chapman charges inside. Close quarters fight, dark, confined. He clears it, kills the gunner. The man is already wounded from the grenade. Chapman finishes it, grabs the DSK and turns it on the next bunker, swings the heavy barrel around, opens fire, 50 caliber rounds tearing into enemy positions. That's when he gets hit. Multiple rounds, chest, shoulder. The body armor catches some of it, ceramic plates designed to stop rifle rounds, but not all of it. The impact knocks him backward. He drops, face first into the snow inside the bunker. The team sees him go down. They're still taking fire from at least 2 more bunkers, rounds impacting all around them. The SEAL team leader makes the call. Chapman is unresponsive, no movement, no return fire. They believe he's dead, and if they stay, they'll all die. The enemy is closing in. More fighters moving up from the southern positions, trying to flank, trying to surround. The team has to move. They bound off the peak under covering fire, fighting their way down the mountain, carrying Robert's body, dragging him through the snow, leaving Chapman behind. It's the hardest decision any of them will ever make, but it's the only decision that makes sense. You can't save a dead man, and you can't let the living die trying. It's 0532. The sun is starting to rise. The sky is turning from black to deep blue. Grim 32 has to leave. Daylight means surface-to-air missiles. The AC-130 banks away, heading back to base. The guardian angel is gone. The SEALs are now in the valley. requesting extraction, requesting a quick reaction force, requesting anything. And up on Takur Ghar, in the bunker he just cleared, John Chapman opens his eyes. He doesn't know how long he's been out. Could be seconds, could be minutes. The cold is what brings him back. The snow against his face, the wind. He tries to move. Pain shoots through his chest like electricity. His breathing is shallow, labored. Blood is pooling under his body armor. He can feel it, warm against his skin. He tries his radio, clicks the push to talk, static. The unit took a round, or the fall damaged it. Doesn't matter. He's cut off. He's bleeding. His body armor stopped some of the rounds, but not all of them. He can feel at least 2 entry wounds, maybe more. Chest, shoulder. He doesn't check, doesn't want to know. Knowing won't change anything. He can hear the enemy. Voices. Pashto. Commands being shouted, footsteps crunching in the snow. They're regrouping, consolidating, moving between positions. He looks around the bunker, passing ammunition crates. Wooden boxes stenciled with Cyrillic letters. Soviet surplus. RPG rounds lined up against the wall. Belts of linked 12.7 ammo. The DSK he turned on them earlier. He checks his M4. 1 magazine in the weapon, 2 more on his vest. He does the math. 90 rounds, 30 rounds per magazine. Maybe 30 enemy fighters spread across multiple bunkers. No air support, no backup, no comms, no way off this mountain. The helicopter that brought him is long gone. His team thinks he's dead, and maybe they're right. Maybe he is dead. Maybe he just doesn't know it yet. The logical move is to hide. Stay in the bunker, play dead. Conserve energy, wait for rescue. Maybe a quick reaction force will come. Maybe they'll secure the peak. Maybe they'll find him. Maybe. But Chapman knows something else. He knows standard operating procedure. He knows that when an American goes down in enemy territory, a QRF launches. Has to. It's doctrine. And that QRF is going to fly in blind, right into the same kill box that shredded 2 Chinooks already. They'll land on this peak, step off the ramp, and walk into a firing squad, bunkers on 3 sides, machine guns pre-positioned, RPGs ready. The enemy has had time to prepare, time to set up. The Rangers won't stand a chance, unless someone warns them, unless someone suppresses the enemy positions, unless someone draws fire. Chapman makes the decision. He's not hiding. He's going to fight, not for himself. He's already accepted that he's not getting off this mountain. But for the men who are coming, the ones who don't know what's waiting for them, he's going to give them a chance. Even if it kills him, even if it costs him everything, he's going to stand up and fight. Because that's the job. That's the oath. That's what you do when you're a combat controller and there are American lives on the line. Chapman moves to the entrance of the bunker. Every movement is agony. His chest feels like it's on fire. His shoulder isn't working right. Nerve damage, maybe. He can see the other enemy positions now. 70 meters to the east, another bunker. Fighters moving in and out. 100 meters south. More movement. They're everywhere. 20, 30, maybe more. They don't know he's awake. Don't know he's still in the fight. He raises his M4, flips the selector to semi-auto. Controlled fire, disciplined. He picks a target. A fighter moving between positions. Exhales. Squeezes. The rifle kicks. The fighter drops. The enemy scatters. Confused. They thought this position was theirs. They cleared it. The American was dead. But now there's fire coming from the northern bunker again. Chapman keeps firing. Short bursts. Targeting movement. Suppressing. Drawing their attention. Now they know. The American in the bunker is still alive, and they want him dead. The return fire is immediate. A K round slamming into the sandbags, kicking up dirt and snow. RPGs screaming overhead. One detonates against the rocks behind the bunker. The concussion wave slams into Chapman. His ears ring. He can't hear anything except a high-pitched whine. Chapman pulls back deeper into the bunker. Reloads. His hands are shaking. Not from fear, from blood loss, from cold, from exhaustion. He's getting weaker. He can feel it. His vision is starting to narrow. Tunnel vision. The edge is going dark. But he keeps fighting. Every few minutes he engages, fires, pulls back, reloads, fires again. He's buying time, not for himself, for the Rangers he knows are coming. The enemy adapts. They start maneuvering, trying to flank the bunker. Chapman sees them, shoots, forces them back. They try from another angle. He shoots again. It becomes a deadly game. The enemy probing, Chapman responding. Minutes bleed together. 5 minutes, 10, 15. He's lost track. His body is running on adrenaline and sheer will. Nothing else. He knows he's dying, can feel it, but not yet. Not until the QRF is on the ground. Not until he's done everything he can. At 0610, Razor 01 lifts off from Gardes. It's carrying an Army Ranger Quick Reaction Force. 19 men from the 75th Ranger Regiment, 1st Battalion, Alpha Company, the best light infantry in the world. Fast, aggressive, trained for exactly this. They've been briefed. American operator down on Takur Ghar. Possible enemy presence. Recover the body. Secure the peak. They don't know the full picture. They don't know about the bunkers, the machine guns. The 30-plus fighters dug in across the ridgeline. They don't know Chapman is still alive, still fighting. The Chinook climbs toward the peak, escorted by 2 Apache gunships. Call signs Juliet and Knife. The Apaches are supposed to clear the landing zone. Suppressive fire, 30mm chain guns, Hellfire missiles, turn the peak into a parking lot before the Rangers land. But as they approach, the mountain erupts. Heavy machine gun fire, tracers arcing up from multiple positions. The Apaches take hits, rounds punching through the fuselage. Knife takes a hit to the tail rotor, starts vibrating, loses hydraulics. The pilot fights it, manages to keep control but has to break off, pulls away from the mountain. Juliet keeps firing, rockets, chain gun. But the enemy positions are hardened, dug deep into the mountainside, reinforced with timber and sandbags. The rockets hit, but don't penetrate. The chain gun suppresses, but doesn't kill. The Chinook pushes through. The pilots have their orders. Get the Rangers on the ground. At 0645, Razor 01 touches down, 10 feet from where Chapman is fighting. Chapman sees the Chinook, hears the rotors, the whine of the engines. He knows what's about to happen. The ramp is dropping. The Rangers are going to step off into a slaughter. He can see the enemy positions. Bunkers to the south, fighters repositioning, moving into firing lanes, machine guns training on the helicopter, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for targets. He has one chance, one move left. He breaks cover, steps out of his bunker into the open, into the kill zone, completely exposed, and he opens fire. Full automatic now. Discipline doesn't matter anymore. Suppression matters. Volume of fire matters. He screams suppression on the southern bunker. 30 rounds in 3 seconds. The magazine empties. He drops it, reloads, keeps firing. Every enemy gun swings toward him. Every fighter on the peak sees the lone American standing in the open, firing. Defiant, suicidal. Tracer rounds converge on his position. Green tracers from AKs, red tracers from the D-SK. RPGs launch. One passes so close Chapman feels the heat. It detonates behind him. Shrapnel tears through the air. Chapman keeps firing. He's drawing all of it. Every ounce of enemy firepower. Every gun. Every rocket. All of it focused on him. The Rangers pour off the Chinook. They hit the snow, start returning fire. But they're confused, disoriented. They just landed in hell. Tracers everywhere. Explosions. Screaming. They don't know where the enemy is. They don't know the layout. They don't know who's shooting at what. And they don't know that the man drawing fire 50 meters to their north is the operator they came to rescue. They think he's enemy. Some think he's a suicide bomber. The confusion is total. But Chapman doesn't stop. Can't stop. He empties another magazine. Reloads. His movements are slower now. Mechanical. His body is shutting down. Chapman is hit again. Center mass. The round punches through his body armor, through his chest. He staggers, tries to stay upright, but his legs won't respond. Another round hits his shoulder, spins him around. He drops to one knee, still firing, still trying to cover the Rangers. Blood is pouring from multiple wounds now, soaking his uniform, steaming in the cold air. His vision is going dark, tunneling. He can barely see, but he can still pull the trigger. And he does. 2 more rounds. 3. The bolt locks back. Empty. He reaches for another magazine, but his hands won't move, won't obey. He tries to speak, to call out, to warn the Rangers. But no sound comes, just blood. He collapses face first into the snow, still gripping his rifle, still facing the enemy. The enemy closes in, fighters moving from multiple directions. They're cautious. They've seen what this American can do. But he's not moving now, not firing. They approach, weapons raised, and John Chapman is gone. The Rangers are fighting for their lives, pinned down within seconds of landing. Casualties mounting. Staff Sergeant Aaron Cannon is hit, killed instantly. Specialist Mark Anderson takes a round to the leg, bleeding out. The team medic is trying to reach him, but the fire is too heavy. Ranger Corporal Matthew Commons is hit in the chest, goes down hard. The Chinook is taking hits, rounds punching through the skin. The pilots try to take off, but the bird is too damaged. Hydraulics failing. They're stuck, grounded on a hostile peak with nowhere to go. The battle for Takur Ghar continues for another 14 hours. 14 hours of close quarters hell. The Rangers are pinned in a small perimeter, surrounded, taking fire from all sides. They dig fighting positions in the frozen ground, return fire, call for air support. F-15S arrive, drop 500-pound JDAMS danger close. The mountain shakes. The enemy bunkers start collapsing, but the fighters keep coming. Another Chinook tries to extract the Rangers. Call sign Razor 02. It gets hit on approach. RPG through the cockpit. The bird goes down. Crash lands 200 meters from the first bird. More casualties. The crew survives, stumbles out into the snow. Now there are even more Americans trapped on the peak. Air support finally arrives in force. F-15S, F-16S, A-10 Warthogs. They drop bombs danger close. 30mm cannon runs from the A-10s. The Gatling gun sounds like a chainsaw from hell. Bursts of 70 rounds per second. The enemy positions are obliterated one by one. Bunkers collapse. Fighters disintegrate. The peak is turned into a moonscape. By mid-afternoon, the enemy fire slackens. By evening, it stops. The mountain is secured. But the cost is staggering. 7 Americans dead. 11 wounded. Enemy casualties estimated at over 50. When the recovery team finally reaches Chapman's body, they find him exactly where he fell. 50 meters north of the Ranger perimeter, surrounded by spent shell casings. Brass glinting in the snow. Blood everywhere. Face down. Weapon empty. But still in the fight. Still facing the enemy. The Rangers carry him off the mountain, wrap him in an American flag, load him onto a helicopter. The official report lists his time of death as 0530, killed in action during the initial assault. The same time, the SEALs reported him unresponsive. For years, that's the story. John Chapman died in the first minutes. Heroic, but not extraordinary. Just another casualty in a war full of them. A hero, but not the hero. But something doesn't add up. The Rangers who landed at 0645 reported taking fire from the northern bunker. The bunker Chapman assaulted an hour earlier. If Chapman died at 0530, who was firing from that position? Who was engaging the enemy? The Air Force starts asking questions. Combat controllers are tight-knit. They take care of their own. And something about the timeline doesn't make sense. In 2003, they request access to the Predator drone footage. The unmanned aerial vehicle that was orbiting Takur Ghar that morning. the drone that was recording everything. The footage is classified, held by intelligence agencies, National Security Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency. It takes years of bureaucratic fighting, requests, denials, appeals, more requests. But the Air Force doesn't give up. Eventually, in 2010, they get access. And when they analyze the infrared feed, frame by frame, they see something that changes everything. At 0532, there's a heat signature in the northern bunker. Chapman's bunker. It's faint, stationary, consistent with a body cooling in sub-zero temperatures, a dead man. But at 0605, 33 minutes later, the signature moves. It shifts position. Subtle. It just a few feet. But it moves. At 0610, it moves again. This time toward the bunker entrance. At 0620, the signature is outside the bunker, moving, engaging. The infrared shows a muzzle flashes, return fire from enemy positions, all directed at that single signature. At 0645, when Razor 01 lands, the signature is in the open, firing, moving, drawing fire from multiple enemy positions. The signature is John Chapman, alive, fighting. For over an hour after everyone thought he was dead. The Air Force brings in thermal imaging experts, forensic analysts, video specialists. They enhance the footage, slow it down, stabilize it, analyze every frame. There's no question, no doubt. The signature is Chapman. The movement patterns are consistent with a trained operator. Controlled fire, tactical movement, cover to cover. And the final stand, I stepping into the open to draw fire away from the Rangers, is captured in perfect clarity. The enemy fire converging, the signature dropping, the end. The forensic evidence supports it. Chapman's body was recovered with wounds consistent with multiple engagements over an extended period. Not a single fatal burst in the first minutes, but sustained combat, rounds from different angles, different calibers, different weapons. The placement of his body, 50 meters from where the SEALs left him. The empty magazines scattered around him. 4 magazines, 120 rounds fired. The position of his weapon. The direction he was facing. Everything confirms the same story. He fought long after he was supposed to be dead. Long after his team left. Long after anyone had the right to expect. He fought alone, wounded, dying. And he saved lives. The Air Force builds a case, compiles the evidence, the drone footage, the forensic analysis, the testimonies. But it's not simple. The original Medal of Honor recommendations from Takur Ghar went to others. Britt Slabinski, the SEAL team leader who made the decision to leave Chapman, received the Medal of Honor in 2018 for his actions later that day. Reopening the case means challenging the Navy's account, admitting intelligence failures, rewriting the timeline, questioning decisions made under fire. It becomes controversial, political, emotional. Families are involved, the families of the men who died, the families of the men who lived, legacies, reputations, careers. The inter-service rivalry between Air Force and Navy adds fuel, accusations, defensiveness. But the evidence doesn't lie. The drone footage is undeniable, and Chapman's family deserves the truth. In August 2018, 16 years after Takur Ghar, Master Sergeant John Chapman is posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, the first Air Force combat controller to receive the nation's highest award for valor, the first airman since Vietnam. The ceremony is held at the White House. President Trump presents the medal. Chapman's widow, Valerie, accepts it. His daughters are there, grown now. The citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty as a Special Tactics Combat Controller attached to a Joint Special Operations Task Force in support of Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan. On March 4, 2002, his aircraft came under heavy fire and was damaged, in forcing a member of his team to fall from the aircraft. Though the aircraft was heavily damaged, Chapman and his team returned to attempt a rescue. Chapman voluntarily moved through enemy fire to the stranded member, rendering aid while under intense fire. Chapman then engaged and cleared an enemy bunker, killing all enemy occupants. Intense enemy fire prevented Chapman's teammates from reaching his position. Unable to verify his status, the team was forced to extract from the area. Despite being severely wounded, Chapman regained consciousness, continued the fight, ultimately giving his life to save his teammates. His final act of valor led to the safe landing of the rescue helicopter and ultimately the safe recovery of all personnel. Let me ask you something. What do you do when you wake up alone on a frozen mountain? And when your body is broken? When your team is gone and your radio is dead and the enemy is everywhere? When every logical instinct says hide? When survival means doing nothing? John Chapman had every reason to stay down, to wait, to hope, to conserve his strength and pray for rescue. But he didn't. He saw a Chinook full of Rangers flying into a death trap, men who had wives, kids, parents, futures. And he decided their lives mattered more than his own. He stood up, walked into the open, and drew every gun on that mountain onto himself. That's not training. That's not tactics. That's not even courage in the conventional sense. That's something else. Something most of us will never have to find. Drop a comment if you've heard of Takur Ghar before, or if this is the first time you're learning what really happened up there. The legacy of John Chapman extends far beyond the medal. The battle itself exposed critical failures in joint operations. SEALs and Rangers and Air Force and Army aviation operating in the same battle space without unified communications, without shared imagery, without real-time intelligence flow. Different radio frequencies, different encryption, different command structures. Mako 30 couldn't talk directly to the Rangers. The Rangers couldn't see the drone feed. The pilots didn't have the full picture. Takur Ghar became a case study. Lessons learned briefings presented at every level of Special Operations Command. Doctrinal changes, equipment upgrades, the creation of better coordination protocols, joint terminal attack controllers, unified communications architecture, data link systems that share video feeds in real time. The mistakes made on Takur Ghar led to improvements that saved lives in later battles. Fallujah, Ramadi, Helmand Province, Syria. The blood spilled on that mountain brought lessons that made future operations safer, more effective. But for the men who were there, the lessons are simpler, more personal. You don't leave a teammate behind. And if you do, you better be damn sure they're gone. The SEALs who made the call to leave Chapman have to live with what the drone footage revealed. That's not a judgment. It's a fact. They made a decision under fire, based on what they saw, what they believed. Chapman wasn't moving, wasn't responding. The fire was overwhelming. They had to move or die. It was the right call given the information they had, but it was also wrong, because Chapman wasn't dead, and they left him. Combat doesn't offer do-overs, only consequences, only the burden of knowing. Some of those men have spoken publicly, others haven't. The weight of Takur Ghar sits differently on each of them. Chapman's family received the medal at a ceremony filled with military brass and politicians and cameras. But the real moment came after. In private, when the Air Force officials explained what the drone footage showed, what their husband and father did in those final minutes. The sacrifice that saved 19 Rangers. The courage that redefined heroism. Valerie Chapman said later that knowing the truth brought both peace and pain. Peace because she finally understood. Pain because the years of not knowing had been stolen. The Air Force renamed a training facility after him, Chapman Hall at Joint Base San Antonio, where future combat controllers learned the same skills Chapman used on Takur Ghar. Airfield seizure, close air support, operating alone in hostile territory. His name is spoken in every CCT selection course, every qualification training class. A reminder that the job isn't just technical, it's moral. It's about the willingness to stand in the gap when no one else can. To be the last line, the final defense. The broader military community absorbed the lessons slowly. The inter-service rivalry that delayed Chapman's recognition for 16 years became a stain, an embarrassment, a reminder that ego and bureaucracy have no place in war. The men who fight don't care about branch loyalty. They don't care about service pride. They care about the person next to them, the mission, the oath. Chapman embodied that. An airman fighting alongside SEALs. Dying for Rangers he'd never met. Giving his life so others could live. That's the standard. The bar. The footage from the Predator drone is now used in military academies. The Naval Academy, West Point, the Air Force Academy, war colleges, leadership courses, advanced officer training. Not because it's graphic, not for shock value, but because it's undeniable. You can see the moment Chapman makes the choice. You can track his movement, his fire, his final stand. It's a teaching tool, a case study in leadership under fire. But it's also a memorial, a permanent record of what one man did when the world thought he was already gone. There are other stories from Takur Ghar that deserve attention. The pilots of Razor 03 and Razor 04 who flew into hell twice without hesitation. The crew chiefs who manned the door guns while their aircraft disintegrated around them. The Rangers who fought for 14 hours on a frozen peak with no cover and dwindling ammunition. Sergeant Philip Svitok, who took over as acting team leader after the initial casualties and held the perimeter together. The medics who treated sucking chest wounds and severed arteries in sub-zero temperatures while taking fire. The Air Force para-rescuemen who fast-roped onto the mountain in broad daylight to extract casualties. Walking into a hot landing zone to pull wounded Rangers out. Every single person involved in that operation showed courage, extraordinary courage. But Chapman's story stands apart, not because he was braver, not because the others were less heroic, but because he was alone, completely alone, and he fought anyway. Without support, without hope, without anything except the knowledge that his death could save others. The tactical details of Takur Ghar have been dissected endlessly. Military journals, after-action reviews, congressional hearings. What went wrong? What went right? Why the intelligence missed the enemy presence? Why signals intelligence didn't pick up the DSK positions? Why the decision was made to land on the peak instead of a nearby ridgeline with better cover? Why communications failed between units? Why the AC-130 had to leave at the critical moment? Why the QRF didn't wait for better reconnaissance? Every failure has been studied, every decision questioned, every alternative considered, but the one constant in every analysis is Chapman. The man who did everything right when everything else went wrong. Who turned a catastrophic ambush into a fighting chance. Who gave his life so others could live. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's deliberate, sacrificial. The kind of heroism that doesn't ask for recognition. It just acts. The families of the 7 men killed on Takur Ghar still gather. March 4th every year. Memorials, Arlington National Cemetery. They share stories. Remember faces. Keep the legacy alive. Chapman's family is part of that circle now. Linked by loss and pride and the weight of sacrifice. The weight of knowing your loved one died doing something extraordinary doesn't make the grief lighter. Doesn't make the absence hurt less. Doesn't fill the empty chair at Thanksgiving. But it gives it meaning, purpose. And for the survivors, the ones who walked off that mountain, the burden is different. Survivors' guilt. The question of why them and not others. Why they lived when Chapman and Roberts and Cannon and Anderson and Commons and Croce and Cunningham died, Therapy, nightmares. Decades later, some still can't talk about it, can't watch the footage, can't hear the word Takur Ghar without something breaking inside. Others speak at schools, veterans events, Rotary clubs. They tell Chapman's story. They make sure it's not forgotten. Because if it's forgotten, the sacrifice means nothing. The lesson is lost. And the next generation of warriors won't know what right looks like. If you want another story where one soldier faced impossible odds and did the unthinkable, check out the next video. It's about Dakota Meyer, a Marine corporal who defied direct orders 4 times to drive a truck into a kill zone in Afghanistan. And what he did to save his brothers still doesn't make sense on paper. Hit subscribe. These stories matter. They need to be told. They need to be remembered. And I'll see you in the next one.